bottom line is this. We got some good news today. Republicans are crumbling. The bad news is they're not all the way there yet. Joining me now are Congresswoman Karen Bass and Crystal Ball. Thank you both for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
Congresswoman, what do you think of this new GOP offer? Should we just let the government stay shut down while budget talks go on?
Well, I think the good news is that they have backed away. They have become realistic and recognized that we are not going to deny health care for the American public. And so we do see a crack in their strategy, and I think that's positive. On the other hand, they're talking about raising the debt ceiling. It's not a clean raise of the debt ceiling because they want to take power away from the Treasury Department to use extraordinary means in order to continuing functioning. And in addition, you know there is a bill that they could put on the floor in the next hour that we could open the government back up, and we need to do all of that. But, you know, I do have to be encouraged that they're taking some steps forward, so we need to just keep them moving in the right direction.
Well, you know, Crystal, they're cracking the door, if not opening the door. But if I'm a federal employee that's on furlough, I want the door open. I want the government restored. But today, Crystal, and in a brand new NBC News poll with the Wall Street Journal, it says it shows that 63% of Americans believe refusing to raise the debt ceiling would be a real and serious problem. I mean, when they're seeing almost 2/3 of the country, according to this NBC Wall Street Journal poll, see this as serious, it's no wonder that they changed a little of their position going in to see the president.
Especially when the debt ceiling is such a poor name for it. People hear debt ceiling and they think, oh, if we didn't raise that, then we would spend less money, we'd have less debt, when that's not it at all. It's actually being able to pay for the bills that we've already racked up. So when you see this level of interest from the American people, this many people seeing that it's a real and serious problem, I think that moves the needle. I think the fact that GOP popularity has dropped to record low levels, I think that moves the needle. And I also think we saw finally for the first time this week the market getting very nervous about the possibility of default, and Republicans still, you know, very entrenched with the business community. I think seeing those jitters and contemplating the possibility of actually going over the cliff maybe made them pull back to some semblance of a rational position.
Now you've got with all of this going forward, you still have the Republicans trying to make this point about the debt and the running. Well, let me show you one dramatic demonstration. GOP Senator Tom Coburn, he used a prop, an oversized credit card, fake credit card that would be, Congresswoman, to make a point about cutting spending. Watch this.
Right.
This one shows the debt that we have as of October. It shows that this expires in 10/13.
Okay.
Should we get another one, or should we rip this one up? You know, and I think we ought to rip it up.
But aren't they really, Congresswoman, talking about ripping up our economy?
Well, I think they absolutely are. They've already damaged the economy. And just like Crystal said, this is about paying bills for things we have already spent money on. You know, I feel saddened that my Republican colleagues don't get the message. You can walk around the Capitol, and the people that are protecting us, the people that are still working here, are not being paid. So I'm glad they're paying attention to the polls, but they need to pay attention to the fact that children are not being fed with WIC and other programs. That's what needs to move the needle, frankly.
Yeah, but Crystal, you know what is annoying to many people is they keep changing their reasons for the shutdown. First it was Obamacare, then it was about spending. Then one GOP lawmaker said it was about dignity, before turning around and saying it was about, quote, something I don't know what. I mean, and Speaker Boehner says it's about everything, or maybe nothing. Listen to this.
That's the conversation we're going to have with the president today. I don't want to put anything on the table. I don't want to take anything off the table.
I mean, what does that mean? You've shut down the government, 800,000 federal employees. You don't want to put anything on the table. You don't want to put anything off the table. I mean, what does that mean?
They've completely lost the thread of whatever this was about to begin with. And the congressman who said, you know, I don't even know what this is about, we have to get something, I think he was being the most honest here. At this point, they want something to save face with their base. And actually, it's important that we don't give them that, because if they have some face-saving measure, that's going to encourage them to take the government hostage again in the future. And that is what, at heart, this is about. We have to end this cycle of sliding from crisis to crisis. We have to show them that this is not in their benefit, and it is certainly not to the benefit of the American people.
Congresswoman, what are you hearing about your Republican colleagues? I mean, are you getting any information about what's going on in the Republican caucus? Because we're getting reports there was quite a contentious meeting today of Republicans.
Well, actually, I mean, I've been talking to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle all along, and, you know, a number of them are embarrassed. They know that they're looking bad. I mean, if you think about it, everything that Crystal just described sounds like a children's temper tantrum, and that we have to make sure that they behave properly the next time. I mean, you know, I do think that a number of them feel, because they've said, they've been on record saying, over 20 of them have said that they would vote for a clean continuing resolution today. That is what needs to go on the table right now. So I'm just hoping that after their meeting with the president, that they will walk out and they will realize that it's just not enough to say we're going to raise the debt ceiling and not open up the government. We need to do it both, and then after the government is open, after the debt ceiling is raised, then we sit down and talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about.
But the practical question that I want to raise, because this is just practical. If you can talk while you delay the debt ceiling, why can't you talk while the government is open? I mean, it just doesn't make practical sense, Crystal.
Yeah, I think the idea from John Boehner is that he could get the Tea Party part of his caucus to go along with a short-term extension if he gave them a continuation of a government shutdown. Now, that should tell you something, that it is a bonus, that it is a gift to them to keep the government shut down is an unbelievable situation. And what I'm really afraid of, remember when we initially had the sequester, everyone thought, oh, this would be too awful for anyone to contemplate. It would be too awful to keep in place. I'm afraid that we're now in a situation where the government shutdown is going to become the new normal, that these far-right Republican congressmen are not going to feel enough heat to reopen the government. So it is up to, as Congresswoman Bass was indicating, it is up to those moderate Republicans who are embarrassed, who see that we need to reopen the government. They have to show some courage. That is the only way out of this.
They have to step up. Congresswoman, Mr. Boehner left the White House, walked past the bank of microphones, said nothing. Just arrived back at his office, walking past the microphones, said nothing. I don't think he got what he wanted from the president. I mean, all of a sudden he has political laryngitis.
Right, exactly. You know, I guess he went in and expected the president to say, you know, whatever you want, we're there. But maybe he'll go back and meet with his caucus. I suspect that what he heard from the president was debt ceiling clean, open up the government, and then we talk. That's my guess, and I think that's what we need to do. Like I said, you walk around the Capitol and you see people who are protecting us who are not even being paid. If they miss their paycheck and they're late on their mortgage, do you think the banks are going to forgive them? This is our responsibility here to do our job, and that's what they need to do.
Well, thank you both for being here, and it sounds like they're starting to move. We have got to keep the heat on and the pressure on. They're moving, not nearly enough, but they're not where they were. If the American public keeps pushing, maybe we can see some light at the end of this tunnel, and hopefully it won't be the train coming our way. Congresswoman Karen Bass and Crystal Ball, thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, Rob.
And catch Crystal on The Cycle.